All right, guys, what's going on? It's Jack, and welcome back to another video. And what you're looking at here is the official matchmaking statement that Ubisoft and XDefiant have basically released earlier today in terms of describing how their matchmaking works. So without further ado, we're going to get into this because we have a little bit to talk about, and I don't want this video to be too long, and I just want to get the information out there, and then we can have a short discussion, and then that'll be that. So let's get into it without further ado. So they say, and I quote, "As we get closer to our long-awaited launch, we want to take the time to outline matchmaking systems in XDefiant. We know this is a hot topic in the FPS space, and in keeping with our commitment to transparency, we have to put together some details for you. The most important thing to know is there is no skill-based matchmaking in our casual playlist. We believe that no SBMM is paramount to a fun and varied game experience in the long term. Frankly, skill-based matchmaking means every casual game is repetitive, constantly repeating matches that are just as stressful and matched as ranked. We believe casual playlists should be fun, and no SBMM is the way to do that. If you want a competitive and every second counts go all out playstyle, you'll find our ranked mode to your liking." Next up, they talk about matchmaking factors. Each playlist will prioritize different factors when finding you a match. These factors are sorted based on the intended gameplay experience for the individual playlist. In short, casual play, matchmaking puts a priority in fast connection times. It will try to match latency and regions where possible. And in ranked play, matchmaking prioritizes quality matches. It will wait longer for appropriate players. It is segmented by rank levels and will only matchmake players within rank range. It also employs latency and region preferences where possible. Ranked play will be added in a future season, so make sure to keep your skills sharp in casual play until then. The complete list is below in descending order of priority. So let's get into that because we're doing that in real time. So let's continue here. Okay, so number one, latency. Prefer similar pings. Number two, avoided players, which means it restricts matchmaking between any players currently avoiding one another through muting. Number three, party size. Prefers to match priorities against parties of similar size. Number four, region. Prefers players from the same region / language. Number five, input device. Prefers players using the same input method. Number six, platform. Prefers players using the same platform, which is PC, Xbox, and PlayStation. So I'm going to pause right here real quick. So I'm just hoping that there's a way, or maybe later on, maybe they upgrade this to where it's like, well, maybe console players will only play with other console players, or like, let's say, regardless of what platform you're on, if you have your input-based matchmaking on or whatnot, even though it already prefers it, you're able to kind of stretch out and play with anybody from any system. I don't know if there's further politics behind that and why it wasn't done in a slightly different way, but I guess only time will tell how that works out. So, I mean, because I'm playing on Xbox, even though I've got a PC as well, I'll be playing on there as well at some point in time. And yes, I do play on controller on both platforms. So, but at the same time, I really don't want to be just limited, but it is what it is. It's actually very interesting because when you look at a game like Call of Duty, PC, other than mobile itself, PC is actually the number one most played platform, believe it or not, in Call of Duty. But with XDefiant, it could be a lot different, especially since this is aiming a lot towards casual as well. It's got a competitive part, but obviously, but who knows? Obviously, I think more people own Xboxes and PlayStations, but again, it really just depends on the game they're playing. And I guess XDefiant might be a little bit different than Call of Duty, but at the same time, maybe not. Who knows? And another thing that kind of caught my eye is avoided players through muting for number two. I see players like literally abusing this and blocking, or should I say muting, good players so that way they can match with nothing except, bad players or whatnot. I mean, I don't know, man. I don't know. We'll see how that ends up. I'm not too sure how that's going to work out. I'm sure the devs are concerned about it as well, if it only took me 2 seconds to be concerned myself. So with that being said, let's move on into what it prioritizes for ranked play. So number one priority for ranked play is rank points. Only matches with acceptable rank range. So that's number one. And then number two is latency. Then number three is party size. Then number four is region. Number five is input device. And then number six is platform. So they're kind of flipped a little bit, right? In terms of latency versus rank or whatnot. So this is a good thing, especially since you can see the difference between ranked and unranked, or should I say ranked and casual. And then there's some additional info here. It talks about team balancing. Once a lobby is populated, teams are balanced based on a player's skill rating. The casual lobby does not use skill to determine who gets into the game, but once everybody shows up, it balances a team for a fun match. And then they talk about input device lock, and we're going to be getting into that right now. And it says some playlists will enforce input device locking, such as ranked. When players start matchmaking, the input device they are using becomes locked in and cannot be switched without leaving the lobby. This is to prevent players from intentionally joining with the wrong input device to trick the matchmaker. Next up is lobby persistence. In casual playlists, the default behavior of lobbies is to persist between matches. This means subsequent games will often include the same players from the previous match. Teams, however, are shuffled each match. And then lastly, it's talking about the waiting queue. It is possible for players to queue for an open slot. If players join a party that is already in a full team, and of course, if a player joins a specific lobby that is full. Now, with that being said, guys, that pretty much concludes everything with this. I'm going to go back to page 1 here as we continue with this. So I, for one, am actually really, really excited for what they have to say here, and I'm really glad that they're enforcing the transparency and then everything that they've mentioned from the original announcement of this game, and they're keeping to their word. And I'm glad they went into details, and it's pretty interesting how this game hasn't even fully released yet. We have less than a week to go as of the time of this recording. And, you know, they're already giving us the details of how matchmaking works, and they're keeping it simple. Because if the matchmaking system itself is simple and not complicated, therefore the report on how the matchmaking works should be simple and not complicated, unlike some other games out there. Call of Duty. Sorry guys, I kind of had a cough there. But with that being said, guys, I think everything that needed to be said in this video has been said. Now, with that being said, though, I want to know down in the comment section below, if you'd be so kind, to let me know your point of view. And it doesn't matter whether you're a mouse and keyboard player, it doesn't matter whether you're a controller player, it doesn't matter if you're on PlayStation, Xbox, PC. I do not care. Everyone is equally respected and welcomed here. And I want to know, in terms of everything that you've seen or read about this, in terms of what we just went over, what do you guys like? What do you guys dislike? Is there anything that you're concerned about that I haven't mentioned in this video? I want to know down below. And as always, I'd like to thank everybody for taking the time to watch and or listen, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.